A lot of the reason I started doing Dark Souls 3 Invasion content in the first place was basically because a lot of the people that I like to watch, a lot of the Dark Souls content creators that I like to watch, they were all just kind of taking a shit on invasions, and they were saying, oh, they're too hard, you can't win them, 30% health, oh god, half the Estus, oh god. And it just felt like bullshit, and they were all just saying the same shit. They were all just parroting each other. They were all just fucking copying what the other person had said, and they basically just got this weird confirmation bias going on in their fucking head, and that was the end of it. And rip Dark Souls 3 Invasions. To this day, regardless, and I know this, regardless of how many fucking videos I put out, Ouroboros had his say, Peeves had his say, Damn No HTML had his say. They all had their whatever. They all complained about invasions, and as a result, invasions are dead. And there's nothing my in comparison to those guys, there's nothing my small channel can do to undo, you know, guys who have hundreds of thousands of fucking YouTube viewers compared to my, you know, thousands of you guys that watch. I hope in some small part I've changed some people's minds. And with that in mind, now I am greatly interested in Bloodborne PvP. It's quite often shit on because people are just like broken records saying the same shit they heard somebody else say. Hyper armor, Bloodborne. You ever heard anybody talk about that? I have not. Watch this. So what just happened there? Clearly, I poised through an attack with Ludwig's Holy Blade R1 against a threaded cane. I'm going to put forth a theory here. Hyper armor exists in Bloodborne. We know that. Here's my theory. Attacks with large weapons have hyper armor. Probably some set amount that I'll never be able to find because I can't just open up my PC and, you know, I can't just open up my PC and look at some tables with numbers. But every big weapon is going to have hyper armor on it. And each weapon is going to have a poise damage modifier. Okay, so what does that mean? That means that when I swing a big sword around, or a big hammer, any sort of big weapon in Bloodborne, it has hyper armor, innate hyper armor built into it, probably with a starting point, much like Dark Souls 3 does. And every attack is going to do an amount of damage to my poise, we'll call it. You can say hyper armor. I'm just using Dark Souls 3 terms because I feel like it's going to most closely resemble Dark Souls 3. And I'll show you why at the end of the video. But here's another example. Watch this fella shoot me. Staggered me, right? He's going to shoot me again. Staggered me, right? Now this guy's going to shoot me. Doesn't stagger me. So we know that firearms have a stagger value on their attack. But the stagger value is not higher than the hyper armor value on a Ludwig's Holy Blade R1. I have never seen anyone say, and I'm sorry, that wasn't an R1, a Ludwig's Holy Blade transform L1 into R1 transformation attack. I have never seen anyone ever say that that attack has hyper armor. And I've looked, I've YouTubed, I've looked up on the subreddit. There's no guide to this. No one has made a guide. Like I said, you can't just pull up numbers with, like, you know, Cheat Engine or something like that. It just can't be done. So no one's bothered doing it. And as a result, it's propagated this broken record syndrome where everybody just parrots the same shit over and over again. Yada, yada, yada. Anyway, you guys know I'm getting ready to run a Bloodborne event. So this sort of stuff has been super interesting to me as of late, how all this sort of things work. Here's another example of a thing that I didn't realize. Now, this might be common knowledge. I never bothered searching, you know, backstab techniques in Bloodborne. I've never bothered looking it up. I just assumed, you know, that if there was an easy way to do backstabs, everybody would be doing it already. But considering you have to do a fully charged R2 to someone's back, you know, to initiate a backstab grab, I just kind of wrote it off as being, you know, impossible. Augur of Abritus to the back, opened him up for a backstab. Who knew? Like I said, that one might be common knowledge. I never bothered to look for it. But That's much easier than a fully charged R2 to someone's back. So, this broken record syndrome that I'm talking about, getting back on that, you hear people say the same shit about Bloodborne PvP. It's just firearms spam, just people spamming firearms over and over again. Then get a shield. And then they say, shields suck in Bloodborne, it's a joke. Because they don't understand. You know what I mean? It's just people saying the same shit. Is a shield essentially a terrible idea in a fight like this one that you're watching right here? Yeah, it absolutely is. Is it a bad idea against someone who's spamming bullets? Nope, not at all. It will absolutely fuck with bullet spam. Will a shield. And if someone's using like Black Sky Eye, the lock shield is an excellent answer to that. But shields are a joke in Bloodborne. My point is, there's so much wrong, and here's another example. Where was the bad netcode there, exactly? I dodged that attack, then dodged right back into it, and hit that guy, and you know what I mean? People say, oh, the netcode's bad. You know what I've never had? Watch how quickly the damage registers there. What? He was in the middle of healing. If the netcode had been too bad, he would have totally got that heal off. I have never seen animation desync in Bloodborne. I have never experienced phantom lag, summoning lag, as it's called. I've never experienced that in Bloodborne. I don't know where this bad netcode meme came from. Is it... Does Bloodborne feel more like Dark Souls 1 online interactions than Dark Souls 2 or 3? Yes. Is the netcode bad? Yes. But so is Dark Souls 2 and 3. You know what I mean? The netcode's not good on any of it. It doesn't feel inherently like Dark Souls 2 and 3 have like this fantastic netcode and Dark Souls 3 has this bad netcode. It doesn't feel like... I'm sorry, yeah, Bloodborne has this bad netcode. It doesn't feel like that at all. There are attacks that happen so quickly in Bloodborne that it's sort of, it can be sort of hard to, like, gauge them, judge them, you know what I'm saying? But that's not necessarily, I don't think that's necessarily netcode. My point is, for a while now, I've sort of been taking the fight to what I view as misinformation on the part of Dark Souls 3 Invasions. And right now, I'm currently interested in doing the same thing for Bloodborne PvP. And, like, let's say, of the 6,000 people that are subscribed to my channel right now, let's say that maybe I've got, 2,000, 3,000 people to revisit Dark Souls 3 Invasions. And now they like them. If I can get 1,000 people to give Bloodborne PvP a go and get into it, that's a huge thing for a game that's only on one console. You know what I mean? Here's some more hyper armor for you. This is actually what sparked the entire debate. That is exactly the same way that attack behaves on Dark Souls 3, which is what led me to believe hyper armor in Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne is very closely connected. Anyway, this is what I'm going to be working on. I'm not going to stop doing Dark Souls stuff, but yeah. And just to sort of reiterate that last point, that's not to say that like I'm going to stop making invasion content for Dark Souls 3 or even slow down necessarily, just that at the moment I'm interested in doing some Bloodborne content. So another thing that you'll hear like a broken record is Bloodborne is all R1 spam and there's nothing you can do about it. But as you can see here, it's fairly easy to actually dodge a fair bit of a weapon like the straight sword in Bloodborne PvP. I made a mistake there and went for a transformation attack amidst all that R1 spam. I should have sort of just let that subsided, or maybe even gone for a parry. Excellent spacing with that R2 poke. This is another thing that a lot of times I'll talk about how FromSoft lost their balls. And one of the things I'm referring to is the ability to parry somebody and get a visceral attack on them for attempting to heal. It's not an easy thing to do. It requires a fair bit of practice, but it is definitely possible, as long as you learn to read your opponent. My opponent here is trying to play it slow and just parry me. Here's another example of hyper armor. Very good example. Straight sword versus Ludwig's Holy Blade transformation attack. One more time. And as you can see, I'm able to get the R1 true combo because it has such a long stagger window on it. But good to know that Ludwig's Holy Blade straight sword, you can poise through that. That's me trying to parry the heal attempt, which is nice. Oh, what's that? Magic? Totally viable in Bloodborne? Check mark. The fights themselves, they just look so good. It's almost heartbreaking how sad it is. Oh, beautiful. It's how sad it is that this game never really got the in-depth look that I feel like it deserved. But yeah, me and my tiny little channel, we will try and fix that as we can. Found an AFK host here, and I did test the Augur Verbretus as a backstab, and it absolutely does work, in case anyone was wondering or curious. Good shit. And then we left him alive, because I'm not an asshole. But that's it. Just wanted to share that with you guys. Look forward to more of this. I hope you do anyway. I do. Later, y'all.